وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم. The verse which I have recited from chapter 59 and verse number 19, وَلَا تَكُونُوا, be not like those كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ, who forgot Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them forget themselves. أُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Indeed, they are fasiq, they are disobedient, and they are sinner. The topic of today, why we have forgotten ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in this verse the reason we can analyze very easily ourselves, what is happening around and the way we are suffering. Religiously, we have to analyze ourselves. Politically and socially. In all these three aspects, as a ummah, as a Muslim, look at the political scenario, mostly in Islamic world. How we are far from the ahkamat and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the system and secondly, religiously, it's very easy to say one ummah, but in reality, when you look at the division between Muslims, the way we are divided, and every single day, the number is increasing, not decreasing, the division, the groups, those who are ready to fight against each other. And the whole target of these groups, the whole agenda, the whole manifesto, when you look at it, mostly based on fight with their own people. And the extreme level of all these, the takfiri ideology, which make you thinking that only I am living on the surface of earth as a Muslim and all others are infidels and all others are kuffar and all others are completely wrong, no compromise. And then this ideology extend, make you fight with your own people rather than looking to the common enemies. This is the religious scenario. The third thing is the social aspect of our life. I mentioned many times that this ummah, socially the way we are divided, on the name of self-interest, cruelty, greed, lust of dunya, have completely controlled us. These are the alamat and the signs of Nasullah, and I'm quoting few Mufassirin Kiram, that what does mean? Be not like those who forgotten Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who forgot Allah. And how someone can forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Many Mufassirin like Allama Qurtubi, Allama Tabari, Hafiz ibn Kasir, they have explained this verse of Surah Al-Hashr 59, verse number 19. Nasullah, how you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ay nasu huquq Allah. When you forget the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wama awjaba alayhim minat takalif, and whatever He has commanded to you and make you entitled to follow it, the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for things which you are mukallaf. وَمَا أَوْجَبَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ التَّكَالِيفِ, for whatever you are mukallaf, you are entitled to follow it. So when you do this, this is in reality nasullah. You forgot the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. And what's happened to you? فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ, Allah made you forget yourself. And Allama Qurtubi mentioned this, and he said, Nasu huquq Allah فَأَنْسَاهُمْ فِي حَقِّ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Whatever is in your benefit in this world, min al-amal salih, related to your amal, as a punishment, you completely stay away from all whatever is in your own benefit. Means you can't do anything wrong with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hafiz ibn Kasir says, Nasu zikr Allah. The zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَنْسَاكُمْ الْعَمَلُ لِمَصَالِحِ أَنفُسِكُمْ الَّتِي تَنْفَعُكُمْ. So as a result, when you stay away from the zikr and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَأَنْسَاكُمْ الْعَمَلُ, the action لِمَصَالِحِ أَنفُسِكُمْ الَّتِي تَنْفَعُكُمْ, which is in your benefit, and you are the beneficiary of the amal, you stay away from all these amal and you involve and you become the aghwa of shaitan. Means the a'mal which make you away from the reality of life, from the real benefit of life, from the benefit of the dunya and akhirah. As a punishment, you stayed away from all these a'mal and you get involved in the a'mal which is the source of your own destruction. And he mentioned one khutbah, Hafiz ibn Kasir in Tafsir ibn Kasir, of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I am not quoting the whole khutbah, just only few words of it. When he said, related to this, Aina man ta'rifuna min ikhwanikum, where are those well known to you, your brothers, those who are living in the lust of dunya with the power, with the strength? Aina. Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq said in his khutbah, where are they now? Where is their power, their strength, their jalal, their jaho jalal, their wealth, their influence in the society? Aina al-jabbarun al-awwalun, where are the tyrants who were before with power, with strength, with might? Alladina banul madaina, those who were so powerful they established cities. Al-madain, the plural of Medina, those who established cities. وَحَسَّنُوهَا بِالْحَوَائِطِ, and not only they established cities, and they circled it with walls. They made the cities like forts to protect themselves. قَدْ صَارُوا تَحْتَ الصَّخْرِ وَالْآبَارِ. Where are their cities? Where is their protection? Where is their power, their strength, their wealth, their armies? They buried under stones and destruction. And then Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu said, Inna Allah hasna ala Zakariya wa ahla bayti. And in other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised Zakariya and the family member. فَقَالَ, and how Allah praised them? إِنَّهُمْ يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ. They are involved in this dunya. Yusari'una, they are doing musari'a, means rushing towards something, competing. So they are in competition, they are in musari'a, but their musari'a is not for the greed of dunya, for the lust of dunya, for the hawa and havas of dunya. Innahum kanu yusari'una fil khairat. All their competition and all their rushing towards only for the good things, al khairat, whatever is beneficial, whatever is khair. وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا. And always they are connect with us. يَدْعُونَنَا, they are asking. رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا, in hope and in fear. Whether in fear or whether in hope, means in good days or bad days, all the time. Whether enjoying the life or they are suffering from the calamities. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا. In fear and hope, they always connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. And they have submitted themselves to us. Khushu means complete submission. So he says, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised the Zakaria alayhi salam and the family members of Zakaria alayhi salam. And look at, compared to the Zakaria, the Yahya, and these series of Anbiya, Al-Jabbarun, whether you called it Pharaoh of the time, Namrud of the time, Shaddad of the time, Qarun of the time, Bu Jahl of the time, Bu Lab of the time, with all their wealth, their power, with all their tyranny, with all their resources. Allahu Akbar, Banul Madaina, established cities, countries, power, armies, but they are under dust. No one knows about them. But Zakaria, Yusari'una fil khairat, Yad'unana raghaban wa rahaba. Still everyone is praising Hazrat Zakaria and the family of Hazrat Zakaria. And then he says, La khayra fi qawlin la yuradu bihi wajhallah. Every single word you are saying, La khayra fi qawlin, whatever word you are saying, if there is no khair, if there is no blessing, if there is no guidance, if there is no welfare of someone in your words, La khaira fi qawlin la yuradu bihi wajhallah. If it is not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with any single word you utter, if there is no yuradu bihi wajhallah, the wajhullah, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la khaira, wala fi amalin, every single action, if you have not doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la khaira. And then he said, wala khaira fi malin la yunfiqu fi sabilillah. The wealth you are spending, la yuradu bihi wajhallah, not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aapne farmaya, la khaira, in your wealth, no matter how much you spend, will be all show off to the public and the people. Yes, the people will say, such a rich person. You know, this will look at the villa of this person, look at the house of this person, look at the car of this person, look at the market of this person, look at the businesses of this person. But wala khaira fi malin la yunfiqu fi sabilillah. All your mal and your wealth will become the source of fight. And you will see in your own life, your own family will be fighting with you. And if it's not in your life, your children will be fighting with each other. And you will never benefit from your wealth, the khair of dunya wala khair akhirah, because you have not taken it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded you. So says the word which you are uttering, the action you are doing, or the mal you are spending, no matter how much rich you are, how strong you are, how powerful in your speech you are, and how many amal you are doing every single day, la khair, there is no khair in it. La yuradu bihi wajhallah. If there is no seeking the pleasure and the wajhullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. These are the messages given under the ayah, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. And Imam Qurtubi also mentioned, said the Nasullaha, he said, One explanation, nasu huquq Allah. You have left the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ حَقَّ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you forgetting your own rights. Means whatever is right for you, as a punishment, you will be doing something which is not related to your own right. Your every single action, result will be against you. Have you seen the people, those who are crying in the society? I did this and I did that, but still I am not benefiting. And I am going to very low level to tell you that, especially in our Asian community, I support so and so. He came here all the way with my help, with my support, but now he is challenging me. We did rishta, but now the rishta is against me. I make him partner in my business, but everything goes against me. And every single thing which we hear day and night, when you look at to Allama Qurtubi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, when he said, and Hafiz ibn Kasir mentioned the same, but Hafiz ibn Kasir mentioned bima awjaba alim in a different way. Allama Qurtubi rahmatullahi ta'ala very briefly, ya nasu huquq Allah fa ansahum haqqa anfusihim. When you forget the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will make you to forget your own rights. So whatever you are expecting that something happen good to you after this action, the same action will turn against you. You will be thinking, what's happened? This action should give me benefit. This action should give me a good result. This action should give me a good name. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ حَقَّ أَنفُسِهِمْ. And he said, this will be the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whatever should be beneficial for you in your action will turn against you. The word which will be beneficial for you will turn against you. The mal which should be beneficial for you will turn against you. فَحَقَّ أَنفُسِهِمْ. And then the other explanation, he said, نَسُلَّهَا بِتَرْكِ شُكْرِهِ وَتَعْزِيمِهِ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ بِالْعَذَابِ أَنْ يُذَكِّرَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا. This is another interpretation and explanation by Allama Qurtubi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. And he said, Allahu Akbar. When you forget, how you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, I always say Allah, Allah, Allah. بِتَرْكِ شُكْرِهِ وَتَعْزِيمِهِ. To respect, to do ta'zeem of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what you have. You are not grateful, and you know that the shukr of something, I always explain it, the shukr is not only verbally you say shukr alhamdulillah, the actual shukr, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, whatever been granted to you, you are utilizing the way Allah commanded you. If you are utilizing every single thing the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you, whether it is wealth, whether it is honor, whether it is position in the society, this is the shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the actual shukr of every single thing is to utilize it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you, to make it beneficial. So I nasu tarka bi tarki ta'zimihi wa shukrihi. So what's happened? He said, ansahum bil azabi ay yudhakkira ba'duhum ba'da. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish you with the punishment that the people will not mention you with all what you do to others. Normally, this is one explanation. Sometimes you say, I did so much for so and so. Oh, the bada bezamir insan hai, bada insan faramosh insan hai. And you say, no, sometimes you look at it, you are not sincere with your Lord. How the people will become sincere to you? It's very easy to take out your anger and telling the story to the people, I did this for this, I did this for this, I did this for this. But Allah says, sometimes it's very easy to tell the story to the people, but alone sitting, have you realized that how many times you not become thankful to Allah? When you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are not the thankful, obedient servant to Allah, how the people can realize and they can mention the support, your help, whatever you did to them. These are various explanations mentioned by the Aimma and the Ulama. I am not going in this. Anasullah fi rakha fansahum fi shadaidi. When you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ease, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forget you when you are in trouble. And to understand this, remember the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muru bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Be the obedient servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qabla an tad'uni fala astajib lakum. وَأَن تَسْأَلُونِي فَلَا أُعْطِيَكُمْ وَأَن تَسْتَنْصِرُونِي فَلَا أَنْصُرَكُمْ أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. This hadith mentioned by many ruwat, but what I have quoted from Ibn Hibban, and from Hazrat Aisha and many other Sahaba Ikram mentioned this hadith, that be obedient servant to your Lord. Before the time come, tad'uni fala astajiba lakum. And the time come when you will be asking me, you will be supplicating, you will be doing dua, fala astajiba lakum, but I will not respond to your dua. Wa anta saluni fala utiyakum, and you will be begging me, asking me, Ya Allah, grant me this, grant me this, grant me this. You will be running around to the people, do dua for me. Walakin fala utiyakum, I will never grant you. Wa qabla an tastansiruni fala ansurakum. Against your enemies you will be seeking help. You will be saying, Ya Allah, my enemy is so powerful. Give me power and strength against my enemy. But fala ansurakum, he said the stage will come, you will be crying and begging, but I will not help you. So fala ansurakum, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fala utiyakum, the ata and the grant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fala astajiba lakum, the respond of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, don't go to the stage when you will be begging me and I will be listening to you. When I look at all these ahadith, and not going to the technical part of Nasullah fa ansakum anfusakum, just as a very brief and simple message, have we analyzed ourselves how much we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then look at yourself. Look at around, as I mentioned, politically, look at your life as a ummah. Socially, how we are living in this world. Politically, socially, and religiously. If you look at all these three aspects of your life, how much we are divided religiously. Polarization politically and socially, how we are far from each other. And it's not a shame, you will never feel, I feel sometimes shame when someone tell me this is Bengali mosque, this is Pakistani mosque, this is Afghani mosque. And I say, for God's sake, in one hand we say, ummatun wahida, ummatan wasata, khairu ummatin. And look at the division, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can give him a beautiful name for recognition. There is no wrong giving name to the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But have you divided based on language, based on area? These are Arab mosques, these are non-Arab mosques, this is Afghani mosque, this is Pakistani mosque, this is Falana mosque. All these things are a sign that how much we are divided in reality. The basic requirement of the ummah, we are very far from it. And the result is this, now the whole ummah is suffering. But in this difficult time, there is a message for all of us. If you need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an-nasru, if you need the ijabah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the respond. And if you need the grant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a'ata, which three mentioned in hadith, it will never happen if you connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have to mention and again, and these are my final words, we have to mention and remind ourselves. And it is very painful in this very difficult time, the whole Muslim ummah in one side. Look at in this small part of Gaza, every single day the number is increasing. Now the recent numbers is more than 24,000. More than 24,000. If you go to the 7,000 missing people, the number is going over 30,000. Every single day, approximately 250 to 300 people, they martyred in this very small area. 70, 60, more than 61,000 people injured. Allahu Akbar. And I was reading one article recently on the 100 days of Israeli bombardment on Gaza. And he said every single day they are spending $350 million every single day. And on the 100 days they said 6.6 billion already spent on the war in Gaza. You can imagine, this is such a small place. But the result of all this 6.6 billion which is spent by Israel, the everyday 350 million expenditure for what? For the building, for education? No, for destruction. 1.9 million people displaced. More than 300 houses completely destroyed. The whole structure, 75% structure has been completely destroyed. can you imagine that how long it will take to rebuild the whole area for 2.3 million people? But rather they're thinking how they will leave those who are still alive. The bombardment every single day is continuing. But look at the Ummah, we are busy in our own businesses. Look at what is happening in the Gaza. Only in dialysis system, I was reading one article from one doctor, and he said 10,000 people approximately, they are on dialysis. But in the whole Gaza area, only one ward is working now for these people. For 10,000 people, those who are in need, only one ward left. Could you imagine how these 10,000 people could be treated in this one small ward? The food, hunger, water, every single day they are suffering, but we are busy in our own businesses. The message is very clear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Don't forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will make you forget yourself. That when you don't do something which benefit others, the time will come your every single action turns against you. Your every single word will turn against you. Your every single amal will result negative rather than positive. And you will be hayran and surprised what is happening. Many people come to me, pata nahi kya hoya lama sahab, siddha kam karna putha ho jana hai, siddha kam karna putha ho jana hai. Then I always tell them, tu Allah naal siddha ho ja, Allah tere puthe kam bhi siddhe kar se. Te je tu Rabb naal siddha na hoya te zameen vich tere kam kade bhi siddhe nahi honde. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وآخر دعوانا